Hey guys, welcome back to Resume Gaming. My name is Marcus, and today we're going to talk about ways that you can improve your accuracy in Battle Royale and help you come out on top more often. But before we get into that, make sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications on to know exactly when a new Fortnite video goes live, and if you find this video helpful, consider sharing it with a friend so that you can help them improve their game as well. Alright, first things first. In order to understand how to improve our accuracy in Battle Royale, we need to first understand the mechanics of your gun and how they work alongside bullet behavior. I'm of course talking about Bloom. If you're unfamiliar with Bloom, here's a quick rundown. Bloom, often interchanged incorrectly with Spread, is the maximum effective distance in which a bullet will reliably strike a target. Bloom is a cone of fire that is tighter when shooting an enemy that is near, and much wider when shooting an enemy that is further away. Each gun type has their own effective range where Bloom is concerned. An SMG, for example, will struggle to hit an enemy that is medium to long range, while an AR will have no problem connecting those shots. And if that wasn't challenging enough, each rarity of each weapon has different amounts of Bloom too, which means a white AR will always be significantly more inaccurate than an epic or legendary SCAR. Bloom can be a very frustrating mechanic, but it's not one that's going to go away anytime soon. Epic has released patches and hotfixes to address Bloom variances on specific weapons, with the most notable ones being the assault rifle. Despite Bloom's heavy RNG outcomes, there are ways to reduce the amount of Bloom your bullets have while shooting, which in turn makes you more accurate. The first of which is very underutilized: crouch. That's it. By crouching, you make the cone of your Bloom significantly tighter, thus allowing your bullets to find their way to the target much easier. However, the best way to reduce Bloom and increase accuracy isn't just by crouching. Strafing your character left and right while shooting will actually increase your amount of Bloom. The best overall scenario for Bloom management is crouching while not moving. This goes against everything I've ever learned about any shooter game, so this particular mechanic took a long time to wrap my head around. That being said, if you have cover and you can afford to sit still for a few seconds while shooting, you will find yourself with much more positive outcomes. The last Bloom tip I have should be common sense for most of you, but this wouldn't be a complete guide if I didn't add it. Control your shots and manage your rate of fire. Obviously your reticle needs to be on your target in order for your bullets to connect, but hitting your trigger as fast as possible will only make your bullets more inaccurate. The best practice here is to shoot, wait a half a second for your gun to reset, then rinse and repeat. Gun control is easy to manage once you have your timings down, so you're going to need to practice this a little bit since each gun behaves a little differently. The next tip I have for you in improving your accuracy is simple. No matter what platform you play on, console or PC, you need to adjust your sensitivity. Don't settle for the default sensitivity. I would say a good 40 to 60% of the gunfights you'll experience in Battle Royale will be close range gunfights, usually with shotguns. But it is very important that you are very comfortable with your sensitivity so that your muscle memory can take over those close-range Twitch fights. This tip is even more so relevant now because as of 11/21/17, Epic still has not settled on their perfect default sensitivity, meaning if they adjust it again, you'll have to find a new sensitivity that is comfortable for you. Once you have the sensitivity that works for you, the next step to improving your accuracy is to build. To some of you, this will seem like an odd tip, but hang with me. Coming across an enemy typically happens when you're running along a field or you're trying to get to the next safe area. One of the biggest mistakes I see is people's first instinct is to immediately shoot at their opponent. What happens next is almost always choreographed. You might land 1 or 2 hits on an unsuspecting enemy, but their first instinct is almost always to build cover to avoid taking more damage. So here we are. An enemy that has less than full health puts up a wall and some stairs, peeks you and finishes you off. Why? Because he had cover and a height advantage, and you didn't. The safe bet here is to build first, shoot second. If you build before he does, you can focus primarily on your offensive strategy and not have to worry about building structures to counter his building structures. And if he doesn't build anything, you'll ideally have a height advantage, making him easier to hit and making it harder for them to hide behind trees, hills, and whatever else. Guys, there is no secret formula to improving your accuracy overnight. But if you use these tips to your advantage, not only will you find yourself being more accurate more often, but you'll often find yourself coming out on top more frequently. Remember, practice makes perfect. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications on to be notified every time a new Fortnite video goes live. Also, leave a comment telling me your strategies for gunning down your enemies. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you on the battlefield.